Now let me share my screen again. Okay. Lori, can you confirm you can see the image?
I can. Thank
Excellent.
you. Okay, so we'll get started tonight. I really enjoy judging photo competitions. I love to give hopefully constructive feedback. Of course, everything's, we're all artists and everyone's going to have a little bit of different opinions, but hopefully I can give you some guidance. I love the theme of abstract, and I will start by saying I've previewed the images. I've actually studied them a couple times. But I am going to take the theme pretty literally, which is that a photo in which the portrayal of things from the visible world plays little or no part. And I appreciate that description, because that's truly what abstract photography is. It's getting away from what is really visible and what we know the image to be, and it's creating something very mysterious and different. And the interesting thing about abstract photography is it still needs to include shape, form, a lot of times lines, color is normally very visible or not visible in abstract. So I also will be considering the 4 elements that your club uses to judge the interest, composition, technique, and presentation. Okay, so we'll go through novice color, and then I'll go through each image first and give a little critique, and then I'll give the awards. So this first image is just really striking and beautiful. Let me move some things over on my screen. I love the softness of it, and the composition is really nice. It's a clean image, really beautiful, and it's taking something that we assume is a flower, but it's definitely captured in a way that is very abstract, and this beautiful curl coming around. So I think it was done really nicely. Next image. So this one is really fun. I love these images where we've done something creative with it. I'm assuming maybe some type of app or Photoshop technique, and definitely is converting it into something really unique. My feedback for this would be, I love the colors here, the purple, the orange. I love the shape, the creative filter or technique that was used. My feedback would be the background. I think the brown doesn't necessarily complement. I like the sharp edges and the pattern that was created, but I think I would go in and change the background color just to really bring some cohesiveness to the image. But it's just my feedback. All right, so I love this. I think this is some type of smoke with lights, maybe gel lights used. Really, really abstract, beautiful. Love the almost panorama view and the lines that's created. My only feedback with this, and I know it's hard with these types of images, but this would be where presentation is real important. So there's some spots on the image that were either dust spots or something in maybe the smoke or just in the background. So just going in and cloning those out would just make the image really, really nice. And this one, I like the upright version. I think this one, the other one is a stronger image. I'm not sure if they're the same person. Again, some cleanup. And it appears to me the top is a little bit more interesting than this long linear. So I think from a composition standpoint, I would either crop it or definitely the other one flows better. This kind of flows up, but it doesn't take your eye back down. I think the composition could use just a little bit of work and then some cleanup. So an ICM, intentional camera movement image, which is one of my favorite things to do to create abstract images. This was called Spring Trees, and I think it's just really soft, beautiful ICM. I'd probably suggest bringing out the color tones a little bit more. And with ICM, you can usually pump the contrast just a little bit. And so it might just give a little bit more definition. With intentional camera movement, that can be really helpful. But it's a challenging technique, and I think really nicely done. So reflections and water reflections are always a beautiful way to create an abstract image. So I think really nice. I would say with a shot like this in reflections, I would really work on thinking about the composition. When you have such a large, I'm sure this was maybe in a pond or a river or water feature, and you've got these gorgeous trees coming in, but really think about how to box it in your frame, your composition, so that it's leading the eye somewhere, even with reflections like this. It's definitely beautiful abstract reflections. It almost looks like kind of smeared ink or paint, but I think composition could be stronger with thinking about how to frame it. It might even be better flipped, turned where the lines are going horizontal, just to lead your eye somewhere. You want to take your eye through the frame. And I think with these big scenes, you can really find a unique composition, just taking some time to study that. All right, so this one's another reflection in the water. And for this one, I think this would be a really nice shot. A couple things. I would definitely crop the end and just focus on this reflection of this tree. And again, for abstract, I would have come in and maybe zoomed in, or again, you could crop so that you've just got maybe these branches. We want the image to be where we don't know what it is. We want it to be a lot more mysterious. So I think this one could use just maybe a little crop. If you'd had a zoom lens, you could zoom in on just the spots of tree branches to really be that abstract look that we want to go for. We want people to wonder what it is. All right, nature's hieroglyph. Thought this was really interesting, these textures and the lines. It's definitely very interesting, and it's got a lot of the components of an abstract image. It's got some lines, some form, some shape. It appears our light is over here on the left a little bit. The right is a little bit darker. And then we've got some spots that are softer focus, some that are higher focus. So I think for this one, I would work on the technical details when you have an image with so much texture. I don't know the settings that it was taken, but I would just say to think about a larger depth of field so that we really get more of the detail, and think about where the focus is. I think this part, the left side of the image, has a lot more texture light. And so maybe even coming in and doing a tighter shot, or maybe if we've been able to kind of center the lines coming down. So I think working on technical, just to really bring out more of the detail, and thinking about where the light is, and then a little bit stronger composition with the two linear lines, and then you've got all that pattern. So just really thinking about how to frame the shot. And this one I had to look at a couple times. This is not an owl, so really fun. And it definitely meets the definition that the portrayal of things from the visible world. I'm not sure what this is. I'm assuming some type of plant. So I think this is really fun. I was thinking the composition, I almost wonder if seeing more of it, if the idea was that it's not an owl, then I think it works. And there probably would be nice if there was a little more space on the right side, just being nitpicky for some area to breathe. Again, this appears to me lots of texture and lots of details. And so I think a little bit more depth of field to bring all of that out would have been helpful. It looks a little soft here in the front, and it just looks kind of smushed. And I'd love to just see all of that really crisp and sharp. So that's that one. Psychedelic flower. So it's definitely psychedelic with the colors, and really kind of almost like pop art, really interesting. I think for abstract, again, we know that this is a flower. I'd love to challenge that we go a little bit deeper. So maybe we just come in and maybe have gotten just a petal with this line through it. And then I love kind of pop art bright colors, but I think just pull back just a tiny bit so that we can still see some of the details and lines. But I think it was a great direction. Just work on maybe, especially for abstract, think about a smaller part of this scene that we could make bigger. So a lot of times with abstract, you can do that, whether it's just a petal or the lines to work on. So I think composition a little bit here and just a little bit with the presentation with the colors. It's fun, psychedelic, but maybe just pull back just a little bit. Tiny bubbles. So this is really fun. I really love the color tones. I don't know if this is maybe something frozen. It's really, really interesting. Again, composition is so critical, and especially with abstract, because I like all the detail. I think I would crop the end and maybe just make this center part, this big part, the focus of the story, or coming in and just cropping some of the bubbles. So you kind of have a couple stories going on, but I would just crop off the right a little bit and just really make this centerpiece the focus. Gorgeous color though, and it's a really nice clean image. Frozen Flow. So love the title. It really helped me to think about the image, and I do see the flow going down. I think in this case, I'm curious what's above. And I think if we had maybe a pulled back, maybe more of the shot, it would tell more of the story. And I'm also really intrigued by this right piece of whatever this is, frozen or liquid. I think that pattern in there is very abstract. So I think this is an opportunity again to do a little bit more with the composition and the colors, and it's definitely very interesting. I think there's some more that could have been maybe narrowed in on. And Fossil Flames. So wow, this looks really nice on the black background, and the colors are not, they're bright and warm, like you can feel like it's on fire, but they're not overly bright. This is one where I was really intrigued if this was a particular object or if this was manipulated in editing, because it's got these similar parts. So it is definitely an abstract image, very strong, because I'm curious about it. I see the form, the weight. It's a great crop, really perfect, nice and tight. All the story is right here, and it makes you really wonder what it is, how the light came about. Very nice, strong image. And this is really interesting with this light. And then I'm assuming maybe this was something out in the water or something photoshopped in. It definitely makes me curious as well. So I think it's interesting, and it does lend itself to abstract. We know it's water, but I am a little curious about it. And I think as far as composition, it probably would have made it even just a little bit tighter. But it's, and then the technical, I'd have to look at it a little bit more, but when I first looked at it, I felt like some of the shadows and some of the dark side was probably a little bit what's called clipped, or too dark and kind of pixelated. So I just think just watching the technical side on a night shot like this. And another camera movement, or the person was moving as well. So very gorgeous image. I love this, my type of photography, and I love the movement, the colors, and the thread. I just would say that this would probably be better suited for a movement competition or something else versus true abstract, because we still really know what it is. It's really beautiful though, so I appreciate it, and it's a nice clean image. All right. So I will start with honorable mention. And are you ready for me, John?
I am ready.
Okay. So the image from the blue smoke, it's the top third from the left. Honorable mention. Again, stunning image, just needed some cleanup. So, but I still felt like it met all the merits of abstract and really, really well done. Third is going to be spring trees. So intentional camera movement can be abstract. And I think that while we know it's trees, it's very abstract and a nice technique, very clean image, which is hard to do, and a solid composition. Second will be the pink petal flower. Will be in second place. Not that one, I apologize. The pink little curl, yes. So very well done, clean image, composition is beautiful and definitely lends itself to abstract, nice tight composition and just beautiful color, very well done all the way around. And our top image for novice color is going to be the fossil flame. And I'd love to know, maybe John can send me a note later, or someone can tell me later. I'd love to know what that was, but we won't get into that yet. But really, really just a stunning image, clean, cropped, nice, mysterious, abstract form, color. So great image for novice color.
Excellent. Thank you for that. All right, so we'll go through real quick and we'll give the artists a chance to explain and describe their images. And for honorable mention is Jarvis Smith. Or Jarvis, are you on? Perhaps not. All right. I'm sure he'll be catching up on video later. And we have Spring Trees by Rick LaDuca. Rick is also not with us tonight. So far, batting 1,000. And second place, Susan.
Yes, that's a tulip curl, tulip in my garden. And it was with my Lens Baby lens, but I was just focusing on the curl. I just thought it was just an interesting shape. That's about it.
Well done.
Thank you.
And everybody's got a drum roll playing in their head right now, I know. First place, Sarah Pennington.
Hi, thanks. To answer your question about what this is a cross section of a nautilus shell. I got the colors through messing with the curves and a inversion filter, and then I duplicated the layer and dropped it on top and did, I think it was an overlay blend mode. So it's the same nautilus, it's just flipped on top of itself and duplicated. So yeah,
interesting technique.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yes, very nice. I would have never guessed a shell. So
so
great.
What I want to point out, maybe it's just me, but right over here, am I the only one that sees a lion's head right here?
Oh yeah.
I saw that when Lori was describing. I'm like, man, that's freaky. Well done, Sarah. Okay, novice monochrome.
All right. You guys really did great work with the monochrome images and all the groups. I was really, really impressed. So this is beautiful texture and lines and definitely abstract. I think it's interesting. There's two kind of things going on here. So you've got this grate and then you've got the tree. And I think they counterbalance. So at first, I had to think about it, but I think it makes an interesting kind of juxtaposition. So nice job. So this one with I'm assuming this is some type of smoke as well, is really stunning. This composition and how clean this image is. It is a solid black and white. It's exposed perfectly. It's clean. And the composition, I love the movement from left to kind of right. It takes your eye over. So I think it's just really, really beautiful. Well done. And another one. This one is really interesting as well. It's definitely abstract. I like the composition in this one going up, and you've got these lines, and the colors are interesting. It's more of a sepia monochrome. I think the line going up on this right section, there's a little, that soft line. I probably would have cloned that out just to clean it up. It's just a little distracting, but that's being really nitpicky. But really, really nice image. All right, so this one is, I kept looking to try to figure it out. It must be some type of water kind of nature scene. So I do like it in black and white. I think for abstract, again, this is where I would come in a little bit tighter with a composition. So pick something. Sometimes with abstract, it's easier to do something that when you have a busy scene like this, find something small and pinpoint how you can make that really abstract. So I think the challenge with this image is not knowing kind of what the focus is and having some definition in the form of the image and the overall composition. So that would just be my feedback there. Converging lines. So architecture is such a great way to shoot abstract, and I love this. The lines, the composition is great. It's right on the rule of thirds, the center, that kind of point where they converge. You've got these horizontal lines, and then you've got these other lines, and it just really nice, solid. And I like the monochrome. I like that it's not just traditional black and white. I think it adds even more interest, and it's also very clean, great composition and exposure. Narrowing light. So I've been to this spot. So this is a great spot for abstract photography. I think this is in New York City, and beautiful lines as well. I like that the blue color, the monochrome there with the white. We've got some spots. So I think some of them may be in the building, but again, I'd probably just clean up a little bit. And I think this is one where you could have done even a little bit more to make it a little more abstract and a little different than a shot where a lot of people have been. So I'd probably also crop off the tip at the bottom and just really get it nice and framed. Alien. So this is really interesting. I love things in nature for abstract. Again, with abstract, it's hard. We kind of know what this is. And so I want to challenge you guys to think about, we want it to be something that portrays the world a little bit differently. Love all this texture. I think coming in and maybe doing a little bit tighter shot. The other thing with this is you've got a leading line, and the line is leading us, but it's not where the focus is. So if you're going to have a leading line, you typically want it to lead the eye, and you want to have your focus point there. You don't have to all the time, but I think that's what would make this a little bit stronger. And then coming in maybe a little tighter to give it a little more abstract look. Definitely looks like a little alien though. So good title. And sunburst. So this image is beautiful. It's really well done. Love this great sunburst. You've got really nice contrast with the light. It's not overexposed. I think this should be submitted for a night photo or a black and white competition, but I'm not seeing the theme abstract in this image as much. I know the star is abstract, but we still kind of know what the scene is. So I think it's a beautiful image. But as far as kind of the theme goes, I think we could do a little bit, maybe something a little more abstract with it. Lazy laser. So this one is fun. I was really intrigued what it is, and the image is nicely done in black and white. I think again, maybe doing this in a different way so that it's a little more abstract than just kind of a snapshot of a circle pattern. This would be great for maybe patterns or circle, but I think maybe you could have done something a little more abstract with it. It's kind of like some people shoot slinkies abstract, but you have to get in really tight or it just looks like a slinky. So I think this one is really nicely shot, and it meets the technical requirements in the presentation. I'm not sure about the interest section around just abstract. This one's called Circles, and I like this. I wondered if it was balloons or Chinese lanterns or kind of what it is. So it definitely brings out curiosity. It's got form. I also like that it's got this raw edge to it. It's not just sharp, circles. And I think this line down the center makes it for a nice composition. I don't know if it's balloons or what it is. So it definitely meets the abstract theme and is a nice shot. Glow in the dark. So I was really curious what this was, and it's very, very abstract, and another nice clean shot with the black and white. I think the two lines and then whatever this middle thing is, it's nice how it's composed, and I'm definitely curious what it is. The light fades off at the end, so again, I would just be careful with the corners and maybe just crop that. So yeah, I think it's a solid image. Bubble columns. So very fun, and I like it. I think this speaks to some of the other comments that I've made, just tightening up the composition, maybe even just zoom straight in on these bubbles, the column lines. And it looks like it probably needs maybe more depth of field. Think about where the focus is. It's pretty soft all around except these center spots. I think it could have been really, really fun if it was, maybe it was shoot on a tripod if possible, and really think about getting more of it sharp. Would really make it pop and be really, really interesting and abstract. Okay, and this zebra eye. So I think it's an amazing shot that someone was able to zoom in and get all this detail. I think, again, for the interest and the theme, we kind of know what it is. So I would love to see using this image in another way to make an abstract, whether it was the mane of the zebra or, something like that. And I think also zooming in, the image got maybe a little bit noisy, or maybe lost a little bit of its sharpness versus, I'm sure maybe it was a pulled back image at one point. So I think there's opportunity here, but I think zooming in too much on it probably kind of distorted the quality of the image just a little bit, and then kind of thinking about how to create something abstract out of it. And this one, another fun animal shot. So I think we have to be, with abstract, we have to be careful with things that are like animals or people. A lot of times you don't see those in abstract. So I appreciate the creativity. I think coming in again and maybe cropping, usually with things like animals and people, we try not to crop off important things. So I think having the eyes cropped, it's not bad. There is some pixelation here in the middle. So I think, again, this must have been a shot probably a little bit back, and coming in and cropping it has distorted it. So from the technical aspect, we need to work on that. And then I think maybe, cropping a piece of the lines of the fur could be a way to create something abstract out of the image. Okay, so for novice monochrome, the honorable mention is going to go to glow in the dark. Yes. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Third place to circles. Number 2 is converging lines. Really, really love that one. And first place is the white smoke. Just excellent done. That is very hard to capture, and it's such a clean image, and the composition was so spot on with the leading lines and the movement and the abstract quality. It met all the qualifications.
Okay, so honorable mention goes to Sarah Pennington.
Thank you. That is a very close-in shot on my vertical mouse.
Oh, interesting. That's great.
Definitely abstract. Third place, Susan D'Aprencio.
Thank you. Those were some wind chimes. And I appreciate your critique, and with my other photos too, learning a lot. And I appreciate everything that you've told me about our photos. But this was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Great, great image. And now I can tell it's wind chimes, but I would have never guessed.
Second place, Converging Lines, goes to Rick LaDuca, who's not here to accept, must be present to win, right? Oh, sorry, wrong competition. All right. First place tonight, Jarvis Smith, and he is also not present, but I'm sure he will be happy to know that he won first place. Great job on everybody, really well done. Intermediate color.
Okay. So this was a fun one to look at. So in this group, this image, so I think it's, I really appreciate the creativeness and thinking about how to create a scene that's abstract. It's really rare if you study or look at abstract images, it's rare that you find one that's like a scene. A lot of people do composites, which is what this is. But most abstract is a little bit more macro and close up. So really appreciated it. But I have to say, for the presentation, just have to be really careful with our masking. So around the edges of the tree, our blending is just there's just a line around there. So it's challenging, and I'm sure using Photoshop to get those blends and the brushes. So just watch that. And usually a trick I do is start like at 30% opacity and brush, and then you can always increase it. But I think really appreciate the creativity, and I think just tweak it a little. It would be a great image to submit for a composite competition. Abstract flowers. So this one is fun. I went back and forth on this one a couple of times looking at it. So it definitely caught my eye. I like that it fills the frame. I think the colors are primary, and so they really kind of are at you. I think it's the harsh lines. I'm wondering if it was really soft, and I'm not sure about the lines on it. And I think the composition could be stronger. I don't really know where to look. I like the colors, but I think it's the composition and just not having a central thing that's leading my eye, because I want to go on this yellow, but then the red kind of hits me, and then I go to the purple. So I think I would just think about what you're trying to express and tell, and making sure that's really clear. Okay, so this one was really interesting too. So it's I think it's it's one that is very creative, and I think would make a great competition image for creative, a creative editing, creative composite type photography work. It's this distortion of the birds and the duplication and the colors, and I like the framing, and that you've got even space around, and I like this texture added. So I think it's interesting. There's a couple things with the editing, but putting together this many birds and trying to do a circle is very challenging. So I appreciate that. I think we could just think about the story and what you want to do to tell that story for this image. All right, so this one is nice and clean and simple. I know these techniques can be done using several different apps. This twirl is beautiful though, and I just love the color is such a perfect red, so really appreciate that. And it's absolutely abstract. It meets the form, and the swirl is beautiful, and the center is spot on, and it's very clean. So nice image. All right, this looks like maybe it was a seed pod. It's got the oil paint over it. It's definitely mysterious, and it's clean as well. The colors are nice, and leading your eye kind of around. It's like a painting kind of smeared. So very interesting. So this is one of those, again, I think using probably Photoshop to duplicate and flip. And I absolutely love the colors in this, and I love the patterns. I think it's gotten a little distorted in maybe one of the steps. And so the twist of it, I think just work on maybe if you'd straighten it a little, maybe you wanted it to be distorted. I don't know, but I think I would either stretch it to fill the whole frame or maybe come in and crop it. But I do love the pattern, and I love the colors. All right, so this is definitely interesting. Again, appreciate all the Photoshop work in this group. So I meant to say that to begin with. The intermediate color was just really working with, looks like Photoshop. Really appreciate that, because it takes a lot of work. So this is really interesting with the colors. The color combination is nice. I think with this one, I think there's a little, it's abstract. We kind of know it's probably something that's been distorted. I'm wondering if the flower got a little bit too distorted. I think because there's some purple blue on the left. I would have liked to have seen maybe some more of that. But I think it's fun. It's definitely an abstract version of the flower. All right, and this one is so beautiful. For those of you that know me know I love flowers, and I love to create images like this as well. And it's really beautiful. The presentation is really nice. Your color, your background, the work done in, I'm assuming Photoshop, is beautiful, excellent. And I love the swirl and coming around. But I have to be fair that it's abstract, and it's kind of not abstract because we know what it is, and it's a Photoshop technique. So was a little torn on this one, but I have to say it's a beautiful, fun image, and I absolutely would submit it to something that is focused on creative photography work. I think it would be a real winner for a competition like that. So it's beautiful. Shell game. So this is interesting with the two shells and all the detail there. So really interesting. It looks like maybe it's underwater. So very abstract. I think this could be a strong black and white. The detail could be brought out more, maybe some more contrast. And I think in black and white, it would really show and make it much more abstract. Feeling blue. So I'm wondering if this maybe was some Lego pieces or something. I was trying to figure out what it was, but very interesting. It again, I think this is more artistic composite type work versus the true sense of abstract. I mean, I do wonder what it is. Is it a real door? Is it a play door? So it definitely brings out curiosity, and the texture and the blue gives it a definite feeling and look. So I think that's very creative, very interesting. And floating triangles, very interesting with the triangle patterns and the lights. I think with this one, I would simplify. There's just a lot going on. There's also this dark kind of blob at the top. So I would kind of clone that out, and I'd probably just bring in and crop the stars. I mean, the floating triangle is your subject. And so I think I would just make that more of the shot, just tighten up the composition. So triple spin, this one is really fun. So this is a true traditional abstract. You've got leading lines taking your eye off. You've got these other lines coming down, bright colors. There's no spots. I think it's pretty clean. Maybe whatever it was had maybe one little spot. It's not overexposed. It's definitely a true abstract and really fun. And prism. So this is beautiful. I love the shape that was created, and this two lines converging off. I think this would have been stronger in the monochrome and keeping it really black and white, like super sharp. There's gorgeous light. And I think it's a great example of abstract in nature. This one's tricky because it's an abstract view of the spider web, but we of course know kind of what it is. So I'd probably, again, maybe crop it on the left, just tighten up the shot so that it's more about this triangle. And again, I think it'd be a really strong black and white to just make it pop. Textures. So this looks like maybe a camera movement, or maybe just multiple exposure. I wasn't sure, but I love the softness of it all. I think with this one, if it bringing out maybe a little contrast, again, tightening up the composition. So scenes like this, again, can be really hard, and they're beautiful when you capture these leaves, but think about how to frame something that tells the story. And sometimes that's cropping after, or it's thinking about it when you're shooting. Versus it just being like, okay, this is like a texture. It almost looks like kind of like a texture image. I think we could bring out more of the detail in post-processing and maybe tighten up the composition. And Fibonacci. So this is another that is bright complementary colors, bright primary colors. You've got kind of these dark holes coming in, the lines. It's definitely abstract. We don't know what it is, but it has form. Like we can see the start, the end, where it's going. So it's nicely done. And abstract in blue. So really interesting. I was curious about these kind of bubbles, and then the almost like water bubbles. This one, color is really interesting. I think, again, it's the composition. So where do we want, what do we want the story to be? Some of the top is cropped off, and then it leads off the bottom, and then you've got this kind of dark black hole. I think framing this scene a little bit differently would have made it a really strong image. So just thinking in your square box how you want to frame the shot. And brushed arches. So I think this one is really nicely done. It's very interesting. I don't know if it's camera movement or something moving, but the lines are all going in a particular direction. You've got these color contrasts, the blue and the purple, a little bit of white, and it's definitely an abstract image. This one spot at the bottom, I'd probably lighten that just a little bit. I'm in the bottom left. To match the others, but that's nitpicky. It's really otherwise very, very fun and mysterious. Okay, so for intermediate color, we had lots of images. And so for the first honorable mention, we're going to have two in this category. It's going to be the red twirl flower. And this group, I'm going to just say that I was challenged. I went back and forth in this group a couple times because there was so much post-processing versus just shooting abstract. and I wanted to be fair. It's hard to evaluate both equally. And so as I shared, a lot of these images would be amazing in a creative composite or creative competition. And so I did want to give value to the ones that were more the shooting technique to include the 4 categories in your judging. So I'll just say that to preface. So I did give this one honorable mention, even though the red flower twirled is stunning. Then the next one is the honorable mention to the pink flower, which I love. And I was tempted to give like first place, but again, it's not a true abstract as some of the others. And it is a creative technique, but it is beautiful. So whoever's image that is, it's gorgeous. Okay, so third place goes to Fibonacci. Over one more, the next to the blue one.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah. So very nicely done. True abstract there. Number 2 goes to arches. Again,
Arches, this
purple.
one here.
Yeah. Appears to me to be an in camera and some type of movement image, and very abstract. And number 1 goes to triple spin.
Triple spin, and
That's right down number 3 from the right.
This one,
There you
that's
go. Yeah.
okay. First up, honorable mention goes to Patricia Berry. Patricia is a frequent participant here, and she's not here tonight to describe what she did. All right. Moving on, rose twirl. So I think you were right there, Lori. Second honorable mention. And I believe, Bernice, this is yours, yes? Bernice?
It's not mine.
That's not yours. Hang on a second. Somebody told me who it was. Hang on just a moment. I got it here. Marion Esposito. Sorry. Didn't want to, sorry, Bernice, didn't want to accuse you of that one. And Marion also does not appear to be online tonight. All right, moving on. Third place, Tim Pennington.
Yeah, thank you. So this was a combination of 2 images taken in the macro workshop, I guess, that we did during the Nature Visions, or what used to be known as Nature Visions workshop. So one is obviously a shell, conch shell, I think they call it. And then the other one was actually what I'm calling the food coloring and milk drops, food drops and milk, and then combined and subtracted or you played around with the blending modes until I got something I thought looked pretty interesting.
Well done.
But thank you for your comments, Lori.
Oh, you're welcome. It's really nice.
Second place, Carolyn.
Hey, these were purple anemone flowers. So yeah, it was camera movement.
Very nice. Love it.
Thank you.
I thought for sure that was just post-processing technique. Great
Nope.
ICM technique.
Moving the hips like Denise taught us.
Yeah, I knew it. I was pretty sure it was not Photoshop. That's why I rated it so high. So thank
Well
you
done.
for telling us, Carolyn.
And first place tonight goes to Cecilia.
Hi. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for your comments, Lori. This is actually an in-camera triple exposure. It's a spinning top. Like I kind of describe it as like an ornament, like a 3D ornament. And I shot it. I spun it and shot it and took 3 exposures in camera. So that's what that is. It was actually sitting in front of like some colored paper, like colored wrapping paper behind it.
Awesome technique. I think the results speak for itself. I
Yeah.
would never have been able to guess what it was.
Very
I
nice.
love doing in-camera triple exposures and multiple exposures. I love it. It's my thing. Thank you, Lori.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Moving on to monochrome.
All right. So this group as well, your monochrome images were really nice. So this is really interesting. I love the different contrast here, the textures, and I like the composition. I think it's really nice. This is another one where, and I know sometimes we're shooting on the fly. I think probably our depth of field and focus would have been great if we even could have focus stacked to get all the detail, but it's nice, and it's got edited nicely. It's not too bright, so it's just a nice solid image. So this one is really interesting. I love the way they captured this pattern in the dune. So it's a contrast. You've got the pattern going one way and then the dune, the sand going the other way. There's a couple spots that I would just clean up because they're distracting. So over on the right, just got a couple spots. So just clean those up. And, it is abstract because it's got the things that make something abstract, but we do know what it is. So it's borderline, but I think it's really fun because we don't know what these bird prints are, we assume. But it's I like the composition. I think that's the highlight of this image, the way it was composed. All right, so this looks to be probably camera movement, maybe using the kind of the twirl technique. And I appreciate that about it. And the doing that, it makes it very like, what is it? This is one where, again, I think thinking about what is the story, and we still want some form and shape. We don't want to necessarily know what it is, but I think you'll see in some of the other images kind of the difference. So I think this could be even stronger, maybe just crop off part of the right and then have it be this bold circle that makes me think it's some kind of tree or rock. Could make it even a little bit stronger composition. And this was Acadia. So again, I'm assuming maybe some type of nature or rocks or trees, maybe a tree, and doing that twist technique for ICM. So really interesting, and interesting in the black and white. It almost looks like ice crystals. So really interesting. And this one looks like similar technique. So I think with this one, there's some cleanup. So ICM, you're going to see every spot that's on your camera. So just be sure you clean those spots up. We want to make sure we present an image that's spot free, and it's really hard with ICM images. And then I think with this one, I'm wondering what it maybe looks like in color. I think it might have been stronger. We just don't have enough form to really, it's almost like it's a texture that you would use in another image. So it just needs a little bit more form in it. And sometimes with ICM, you lose that. And so it's just where you have to be careful with it. All right, this one was really interesting. I was curious about, you've got this swirl going on in the right, and then you've got what kind of looks like seed pods. So it's very, very interesting. And I like the tight crop, and it's very nicely exposed, and a nice clean image. And this one as well, some type of maybe seed pod. I think it's got some oil paint and textures on it. So it's, again, it kind of looks like a painting. So very, very creative. And I think the composition is good. Your eye kind of goes up and then over. So it's got kind of three things in the story, three kind of petals. And I think that's good. You always want to have an odd number. So I appreciate that about this image. Seeing stars. So very, very interesting, the detail, and you've got all this texture and what's going on. I think technically, again, you just coming in and maybe cropping, or when you're shooting, think about what's in the corner. So we've got this dark spot at the bottom. I think for an abstract image, we could have been a little tighter with it. And again, getting more depth of field. There's a lot of softness in this image. And that's one thing with abstract, it can work, but with things like this, you really want to bring out all those details. So I think just a little bit on the technical and the composition to make it a stronger image. Steely gaze. So this was really interesting, and I'm so curious what it is. Nice tight crop, which I appreciate. We've got a lot of light at the top, which is kind of interesting. So I think that would have been my only technical. There's light over on the right, but the bottom right corner, bottom left corner doesn't have as much of that light. So I think just be mindful of that. But overall, it's a nice abstract image. Bedazzled. So this one, what an interesting composition. I love the symmetry that there is and the focus right here down the center. I almost wanted to get out my ruler. I'm like, man, this is like perfect, perfectly lined up, very abstract. I'm curious what it is. Your eye kind of just bounces around the four corners, but back to that center point every single time. And just really nicely executed. There's some texture and grain in the background, but overall, I mean, it's supposed to be there. It's got that grunge look. Really solid image. Cage. So I also really loved this one, the lines and going up in this curve. I'm very curious if this was a manipulation in Photoshop or if it was a pedal and it's just the way it bends. But man, these lines just take your eye all around the frame. It's a very clean shot, high quality exposure, the light, very clean and very interesting. Curves and shadows. So definitely have got some curves and shadows there. I think this is one where, again, what is the story that we want to tell when we think about abstract? So just working on a little bit more composition to think about that for this. And, you know, if the shadow and the line is the focus, maybe just coming in really tight with that, or this little curve could be really interesting. Spiral. So this is fun. Whatever this container is really interesting. It looks like then a spin blur was added, which was a great technique for this image. So I think it's definitely fun. It looks like maybe straws. I don't know. It's definitely mysterious and abstract. And it works in black and white. All right. So this is called Ink Splash. So very, very interesting. It's definitely abstract. I think with the black and white, I would maybe in post-processing, there's, you know, a lot of gray. I think there's a little bit of things we could do with composition here as well to just lead the eye around the frame, even when you have something that's so almost like a painting. Again, think about the form and how you still have form even in an abstract image, which is very challenging to do. So, yeah. And then this, I'm assuming is some camera movement. It looks like maybe with some leaves of some kind. And this is an example of abstract that while it's a bigger scene and it's got movement in all directions, it's got gorgeous light, very clean image. I even was looking for spots and it just intrigues you. Your eyes kind of go all around. So it's brought in a nice tight story of whatever the pattern is, and it's created a very abstract pattern. I think the softness and then it's got some dark spots is really, really nice. And it just makes me think about some type of movement, like there's a fan blowing something. So I think it's very nicely done. Snuggles. So lots of texture here, lots of pattern. Yeah, very, very curious about this. Again, we've just got some soft areas and you really have to be careful when you're shooting texture. Usually you need to have, you know, a high f-stop number so you get all that depth of field and that detail and maybe even focus stack. So I know this is the intermediate group, but focus stacking can help with that. So I think that's the only thing, is just making it really pop at you with all the detail. Okay, so for intermediate monochrome, I'm going to give the honorable mention to Spiral. I love the abstract quality. It meets the definition. It's down there, the bottom row, fourth from right. Fourth, there, one over. No, Spiral.
No, don't.
No,
Sorry.
right there. That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so it meets the abstract. It's a clean image. Composition is tight and nice. Honorable mention because it is, I think, probably used a twirl technique, which is fine. Spin technique, which really worked for that image. Number 3 is going to be Caged, which is right there. Yeah. Really fun. And then number 2 is the ICM image, the number 2 on the right bottom row. I'm hoping I'm right. That was ICM, but I just think it's really, really beautiful and nice. And number 1 is Bedazzled. The circles right there in the middle. Yes. So just an excellent image all the way around with all the categories, abstract as well as the interest. Composition is spot on, and presentation.
Okay. Honorable mention tonight goes to Tim Pennington.
Yes, thank you. You were spot on. It was a group of straws, and then I did the spin technique just because I ran out of time to try to create something in camera. So thank you.
Very nice.
Caged. This one, Cecilia. Cecilia, leave us? No, I was so looking forward to hearing how she did this.
I know, me too, because I looked at this one today, and I think there's something in Photoshop, but you guys will have to ask her.
Yeah, because I'm with you. I mean, when I saw this one, I was like, wow, the lines here are just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Carolyn, tell us about your image. Wait, Cecilia, did you jump back in? Cecilia, you up?
Yes, yeah, I lost my connection. I'm so sorry.
Please explain this image.
Oh, okay. Where am I at? Did I get something? I completely lost.
Your image Caged is placed, and that it, just to remind myself, it is 3rd place.
Okay, it's it's a slinky. I'm sorry, it's a slinky, and I did a free transform on it because it looked like a slinky.
Yeah.
So I had to make it
looks
not
great.
look like a slinky. Yeah, that's what it is.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
2nd place, Carolyn.
And yeah,
Well-
it's ICM. I believe it was palm fronds at Longwood.
Yeah, really nice.
Thank you.
And 1st place tonight goes to Cecilia once again.
Okay, this is a triple exposure, in camera triple exposure. It's the cabinet door on my dining room hutch. So it's wood, and the circles are all like jewels, like they're bedazzled, they're jewels and little crystals. It's actually very colorful in color, but I turned it to black and white.
Wow, you
I'm-
nailed that shot with the lineup with the multiple exposures. Wow.
With the multiple, yeah, that's tricky. It took too many tries because I know
And-
I saw it in my head, you know.
Yeah, and I'm with Lori.
What I wanted to see.
Yeah, the fact that they're so symmetrical is just phenomenal. You did it all in, a multiple exposure. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you much. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, John.
Moving up to experienced.
All right. So we are on experience color. Okay. So this one, think was titled Playing with Food or something. So it was so fun. Yeah, playing with food. And so I appreciate the texture behind it. I think I'd just crop it a little tighter because our story is right here with this fun circle. And if you hadn't told me playing with food, I don't know that I would have guessed it. So very interesting and fun, and definitely great use of that spin technique to make it really abstract. All right, waves. So really fun. This is definitely a standard kind of what you think about abstract. The only thing I'd say with this one is it was probably very hard if this was like some kind of neon light, is I would check the highlights, make sure they're not clipped, but the focus is, the camera was probably struggling with it, may have needed to do manual focus. So there's some parts that are, and then some that aren't. I think, again, it would have been better if it was just really sharp in focus, especially when you're thinking about abstract. So I think that's the only technical with this one. All right, so this image is just beautiful. It looks like some kind of camera movement with texture added. And I absolutely love it, but there is a presentation. There is a spot right kind of in that middle next to that. Yeah, you just got to get rid of those. It takes away, especially in the experience group. So I just wanted to point it out, but beautiful camera movement, beautiful texture, composition, color tones, really nicely done. Just clean those spots up. All right, so orange glaze, man, this one I kept going back to it. I'm like, gosh, what is this stuff? And it's like a painting of some just crazy artist. So really abstract. You know, it's what I really draws your eye in is the chrome or silver underneath and just all the layers. So the focus is pretty sharp all around, great depth of field. You'd have to for this image, or it would just look like a bunch of, mush. So really nice depth of field, nice focus points. Whether you like it or not, because, it's just whatever it is, it definitely meets all the requirements and is very abstract. So nicely done. Bamboo lines. So another, it looks like ICM, and I love lines going across. Really interesting. With this one, I think this one had, I think it was a little bit cleaner. I think this one, it actually might even look good flipped. I think, again, thinking about the story, and I probably, sometimes with my ICM, I actually crop it. So I think if you got rid of that black band, you've got a really nice kind of softer scene underneath with the blues and the purples, but that one black stripe just kind of cuts through and your eye keeps going there. It's a little distracting. So sometimes with ICM, you either can fade it or just crop and make your scene a little shorter. Pipe flow. So this is awesome. All the colors, the sharpness, I mean, man, everything is in focus, the detail, the depth of field, and this line, it almost made me think of some type of something from like the 80s. I feel like there's something from my childhood that was like this. So I don't know, a bike seat or something, but it's definitely really fun. The color combination, I don't know if the artist put that together or found it that way, but it's really good. I could see this in a magazine or something. And this is very abstract and fun. I curious as well about what it is. It's got, movement. Your eye kind of goes in this circle, but it doesn't completely spin. It's definitely abstract and interesting. So for this one, I just get to give, got one more. Okay, Outlander. Go ahead, John, I'm sorry. I thought that was the last one. I missed Outlander.
Okay, so there's another one. Okay.
Yeah. So this looks like maybe a camera movement with a twist. Again, ICM can be abstract, but I think we can really tell what this scene is, and landscape scenes are kind of hard to make abstract. So I appreciate the either multiple exposure or ICM twist, it definitely makes it interesting. And I think this would be a great shot for, again, a creative, maybe a composite or another type of competition. So definitely fun and very, very well shot. There are some spots, so just be sure to clean up those ICM images. It can be, they can be challenging. All right, so for this group, I get to give just 2 awards. And so second place is going to go to Orange Glaze, which is just extremely well done and very abstract. And then first place to Pipe Flow.
Okay. Second place goes to, and we're waiting. Doug.
Yes, thank you. You're not going to believe this, but that's aluminum foil that's been on a grill, and I cooked salmon and put a glaze over the salmon, and that's what burned into the aluminum foil. And the lighting was perfect. And, I brought my camera out and took the image, made sure it was sharp, and then enhanced it more in Photoshop to get the colors. And then, like I said, the metal all the way across, that's what it looks like. But that was done on a sheet of aluminum foil with salmon. So I had a good dinner and a good image.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And first place goes to Pat. And I think Pat is not online with us tonight. But I'm sure he will be thrilled to know that he won again. All right, moving on to Experienced Monochrome.
All right, let me get my notes back. Okay, so love this with the spoons and the twirl effect. I think this is definitely really fun. And you guys are a very talented creative group. So I'm sure maybe I'll do a creative theme sometime, but John, that might be a great competition for you guys. There's so much talent in this group. So I like this. It almost looks like a clock, and really fun technique and interesting in black and white. It gives it a little bit more mystery. All right, undulation. So, wow, this one, just beautiful movement. I don't know if it's camera movement or smoke, but very abstract. And it's an great example of how abstract can also be soft in the black and white and just, really smooth and detailed. I did zoom in, and I don't think those are actual spots. I tried to make sure those weren't dust spots. There are a couple little, but I think they're bumps in the in whatever it was. I still probably would clone them, but it's really beautifully well done for black and white and abstract. Looks like a soft painting. All right, this looks like some kind of plant or texture. It's definitely an abstract closer up shot. I like the perspective with the composition. I think, as we've talked about, just really making sure to get more of the detail and texture in it and bringing all of that out to make things really pop. Unusual reflection, and they told us that they edited in the Prism app with Tokyo. So very creative and very mysterious. I think it's interesting. It's some type of reflection. I think there needs to be there's a lot going on. I think I would try to simplify it for abstract. We usually want things a little bit more simple. So I think I would pick a part of it and just make it a little bit tighter story. And paper waves. So this image, I just absolutely love, and it stole my heart. And I was like, oh, I've got a winner, and it's beautiful, but I can't give it the winner because if you zoom in, this is monochrome, and there is color banding on the edge, and this is the experience group. So I'm going to be nitpicky. We just need to clean that out, just get rid of the reds. And this is stunning. And so whoever's image it is, I've tried to shoot some paper waves and they can be pretty challenging, but your light, the movement, really abstract, even though we probably would guess it was paper. All the layers of paper, it's really well done. Just get rid of that color for us. And this one is very clean. So great, clean composition with the half circle and these lines. Really just nice, clean image. And blinds and screens. So really well done in black and white. And I love the contrast with the light. You've got the kind of 3 shades of light, the diagonal lines, it's clean, really solid composition, and very, very abstract. And this is a multiple exposure, which I love and appreciate, really beautiful. Again, not quite as abstract. I think this would be more of a creative composition, composite image. I like the abstract quality, and I think if it was a painting, you know, it's stunning. But I think again, we kind of know what it is. It's gorgeous, and I think it was very well done. I love the leaves coming over. I think you could even not even have it in the sky, and it just makes such a stunning image. The trees in these windows could even be its own kind of interesting image. Probably would have made it a little more abstract, just cropping that in a little bit tighter, but very well done. All right, so for this one, I gave second place to Blinds and Screen. And first place to Undulation. And I'm so curious what it is, but I just think the softness and the composition and the tones are just really beautiful in both images. They're both stunning.
I was talking to mute. Nikki, congratulations.
This is me. Thank you. I was not very creative with my names tonight. So as you know, it's blinds, it's some wood blinds, and the screens were, that was the shadow of the screens coming in on the blinds early morning, I think, early morning light. And then I just kind of went on an angle a little bit. Thank you very much.
And first place is mine. And that is a long exposure of the Potomac River above Great Falls.
Oh, beautiful. Really well done. Congratulations, John.
Well, thank you. All right,
that's a great example of coming in tight in a scene. So taking a landscape, you can make abstract. So I'm so glad that we know where it is, and a great example.
All right, so I need to put all these into best in show, so give me just a moment to collect these, and then we'll pick best in show. No, I did not want to move both. Doggone it.
And John, remind me, do I pick 2?
You're going to pick 1 for best in show.
Oh, just 1.
Just 1.
There were so many, you guys. Just beautiful, beautiful images from your group. I'm really impressed.
Okay. So do you want the thumbnails, or do you want to cycle through them a time or two?
Let's just run through them once.
Okay.
it's hard now that I know things about the images. So that makes it even more interesting. I think I am going to go with the second image, the smoke.
Okay. And again, I think this is Jarvis. Yeah, Jarvis still has not shown up to claim credit. So we'll just have to fill him in later and let him know he won Best in Show.
Yeah, it meets the abstract and the composition and the technical, and really beautiful.
Yeah,
they're all fantastic.
yeah, this is I absolutely agree with you. This is a really clean image. Well done, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.